Hello! Noodle time, and because it's Halloween, I've got my hat. But yeah, I suppose I could be one of those not appearing in the game Mortal Kombat characters. Wow! 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 Lang Ping Ding, the noodle eating witch-hatted master of chaos. Yeah. Flinging my hat at people. Like Odd Job, or Toe Job, or whatever the hell he was called. It's actually, it's quite a good hat for £1. You know, this was one of those Poundland things. And I don't know whether they put Viagra in it, but it stays up all the time. But yeah, quite like that. Anyway, enough of that piffle. Noodles. The oolong min, or oolong men. I don't know where that sounds slightly like a compliment you'd say if you were noticing a load of homosexual men on a street corner. Ooh, long men. Anyway, yeah. Oh, also I've got the Obi-Wan Kenobi bought when I was drunk top on again. Yeah, doesn't really cover me that well. But downstairs, because I live in a block of flats, the downstairs lady, because winter's just appeared, she's put her heating on again, full blast, and it's sort of, I'm not boiling, but if I do a lot of moving around I start sweating like a horse, because basically she's quite an old lady and she has the heat on full blast. I don't know who pays for her electric bill, but it's like, she does it in summertime sometimes as well. When you know when you get a clear night and it goes a bit cold, maybe a touch of frost in the air, she'll go and whack the heating up full blast. I'm in bed, I wake up in the morning and I literally, the sheets will be damp because it's so hot because all the heat's risen through the floor. But anyway, getting back to the noodles. These ones are quite well made. They're sort of knit together because they have some of the vegetable already in it, and you add the soup flavouring to it. Yeah, give them a taste. A bit too heavily knit together, but ow! Yeah, that's very hot. Yeah. I don't want to get third-degree burns of the mouth. Come on, cool down, you sod. They're not bad. You know, they're certainly a better class than pot noodle. This doesn't taste like the sort of cheapy, crappy stuff. These are Chinese, I think. I'll just check. Oh, it doesn't say. It's got bits in German in it, so it might be a oh, product of Korea. Oh, that's surprising. I've never had Korean noodles before. Doesn't say what part of Korea. I'm guessing it's South Korea, because North Korea I don't think they've got the well, they haven't got food for their own people. They're only going to start selling it to others. Yeah, the vegetables very nice, and it's got little lumps of beef in it. You know, sort of dehydrated. Yeah, It's all round a good. I'd definitely give this probably. I'll give it a 17 out of 17. It's really tasty. Mm. Mm. I'd definitely eat this at work if I had a kettle. Well, at my workplace, I don't have any sort of amenities where I work. I have to sit on a bench even when it's raining. Anyway, this is the oolong men. This is the chicken. Yeah, strangely it's got the French version that says potin, souffle de potin. Maybe that means poultry. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a lot in English on it as well, which is a surprise. Noodles with chicken, flavour, spice, dried vegetables. Pretty straightforward, telling you what's in the pack. Yeah. Yes, pink packaging as well. Quite a nice shade of pink. The beef's got sort of a beige. Anyway, let's have a taste. The noodles actually look quite. I think it's the soup that does it. They're actually very white. Mmm. Mmm. Wow. Yeah, it does taste. These are very good noodles. um. Hmm. Yeah, I'd say these are as good as any noodles you'll get in a restaurant. Yeah, I strongly recommend this. I'll give this a 17 out of 17. Um, Basically, you go down the foreign foods aisle at Tesco's, and they're there. You know, a lot of other processed stuff as well. But I'm going to hopefully next month, because I've still got tons of noodles to get through. I'm going to focus on foreign sweeties next month. So if I suddenly become all spotty, you'll know why. I've got actually. I'll have to do a video on them. I've got this big bottle of Hershey's and Reese's and their ice cream toppings. I've never had Hershey's. I've had this stuff before called Bosco that a friend of mine brought over from America for me, and he said you never believe it. It's like dark chocolate, but it's liquid, and yeah, I had it on loads of stuff. I had it on things that you wouldn't normally put it on. I even put bits of it sometimes on lasagna, because it was great, because it was proper dark chocolate. It was bitter, you know, sweet but bitter flavour that you get with real dark chocolate. Probably didn't help my waistline that much because it was really syrupy. You know, there's a big thing in America now because most of the food companies pay for politicians, so the politicians won't alter the law, even though loads of studies have shown that having ridiculous amounts of sugar in your diet gives you diabetes, and there's like an epidemic of the stuff over in America. They reckon that nearly it's pulling figures similar to the number of people who have AIDS now in America. But still, I don't look down my nose at people if they're a bit tubby. I'm tubby. I'm not obese, but you know, I'll never be like sort of sporting a sort of 26-inch waist again. I was 26 waist when I was about 16 last time, because I was a big lad, as they say. 40s are nice. Wish I bought them in bulk now, but yeah. Supposedly the population, though, the largest number of obesity is actually Samoa, because Samoans always eat big, but their diet was limited to fish all the way through to like the 1970s, and then a lot of commercial firms came in and started selling meat, particularly corned beef, and the obesity levels just went through the roof, because basically they hadn't experienced fatty food. I think they had wild boars and things like that, but never in the numbers you'd get with European farming. Because of course the Samoans were actually the last known peoples to practice cannibalism. One of the other reasons why I don't eat pork at all now was reading about the stories of how missionaries tried to go to Samoa. They'd usually go into the town, hear the word long pig being used, not know what it meant, and usually ended up being eaten, because long pig is human. Because when we're cooked, we smell and taste very much like pigs do. Yeah, these are really good. Hopefully me talking about cannibalism hasn't put you off your noodles, but I avoid pork now, because the most disturbing was what I was reading about, the testimony of firemen, that firemen very rarely eat pork, because when they find bodies that have been burnt, they smell like pork. Yeah, and pigs are one of the only other animals that can get sunburn, like the human being. There's a lot to suggest that we have common ancestor with pigs as well, because they have a similar intelligence quotient to a human being. Yeah, this, see, I've enjoyed it so much I've eaten the whole pot, but yeah, these are really good. Oolong men. That does sound like something Kenneth Williams would be going, oh, long mane. But yeah, these are really, really good. I'm very surprised. Good one career, I say. Yeah, I just wish I had more flavours. I only had chicken and beef. You know, I love lots of different flavours. The ones that I had recently that were seafood noodles, I actually really enjoyed. I wish I had them in a pot. Yeah, they're good noodles because they go soft very easily. They're not sort of, you know, I literally put the hot water in, put the lid back on. 3 minutes later I'm doing the video. It's quite amazing that they taste this good. Also, they don't have any metals on the packaging, so you could always, if you can't get to a kettle, you could put some water in the pot and put it in the microwave, which I was tempted to do at first, but I thought I'd give it the single bloke's seal of approval, which means do as least amount of cooking as possible, like us single blokes do. Yeah, hopefully I've got to get in touch with some people I know who are also doing YouTube videos, see if I can do a crossover, and maybe suggest doing a film review like my favourite YouTube video mate. Well, he originally did stuff on Blip, and I was really sad that Blip went. There's a fella called Brad Jones, known as the Cinema Snob. He does midnight reviews, which are basically film reviews. Literally, they come out of the cinema, get in the car, talk about the movie, and it's actually helped me out quite a bit, not wasting my money on piles of shit. Yeah. Quite a lot of movies nowadays, they put so much into the trailer that when you finally watch the movie you're like, oh Jesus Christ, all the action bits are in the trailer. Yeah. I was fortunate I didn't go with my uncle to see Man from U.N.C.L.E. because he said it's the first time ever that he's walked out of a cinema. You know, I've never done that. I've fallen asleep watching a film more than once. I watched Nutty Professor 2 The Clumps, and I was a bit drunk and I just nodded off because it was pretty boring. I also nodded off watching Funny Games, I think it was called, the one with the two idiots who go and terrorise the family. I just found it boring. I just like, I've been drinking that night though, and I'd had a steak, and usually if I eat something big and heavy it has a tendency to make me a bit drowsy, but that's just boring. The only other film I can think of that I saw at the cinema where I almost nodded off a couple of times was X-Men Origins Wolverine, which the only good thing about it was, is his name Lee Stryber or Lee Stryber or whatever his name is. He's really good, but the story was so especially what they did to Deadpool in it. I'm like, that wasn't Wade Wilson. He's supposed to be a wisecracking psychotic, fourth wall breaking mercenary. He's not even a hero. So what did they do? They gave him claws like Wolverine, covered his mouth completely, gave him laser eyes like Cyclops, which I couldn't work out how he was stopping the beams from working, and it was just dreadful. It was a dreadful film. It didn't improve the plot at all. It was just I had the same sensation after watching that I've had after watching all but X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past. Even the first X-Men movie left me a little bit at the end of it, mainly because I'm a big fan of the Chris Claremont X-Men comics, and they certainly didn't put the comics on screen. No. They put an action movie up there and called it X-Men, but no. You could definitely tell that Chris Claremont hadn't written even a word of what they put up on the screen, because he would have made it a lot sexier, because he's a bit into BDSM, He would have been a lot more imaginative. He would have had a cast that weren't all Americans, because the X-Men that he wrote back in the late 70s, early 80s were all from different parts of the world. Um, you wouldn't have had this American centralist idea that fortunately they sort of have stepped away from now, especially since they brought in characters like Colossus, and you've got more. I actually think that Magneto's a lot better now that they're using. His name's completely gone out of my head. Very good Irish actor, particularly for his film Hunger and Shame. Was the only good thing about Prometheus. What's his name? Oh, I can't remember. I could go and leap over at my DVD collection because he's very good in pretty much everything he does. Even that dreadful Tarantino remake of Indigenous Bastards, or whatever the hell it was called. Because I've watched the original. The original is a hoot, especially the sequel. The second one that is set in the Vietnam War, hilarious. But it's hilarious because everyone's taking a comic plot ridiculously seriously. The mistake that Tarantino did was he made people sort of smiling and winking at the camera all the time. So fuck off. If you're gonna make a remake, make a good remake, or just make something new. Why make remakes, you fucking tosspot? Can't stand Tarantino. The last Tarantino film that I watched that was enjoyable was Jackie Brown. Everything he's done since, just I remember watching bloody Kill Bill Part 1, and it was so bad that when a friend of mine said, do you want to go and see number 2? No. Just, I waited for it to come out on DVD about a year later, because everyone bought DVDs of it, and gradually the price started dropping and dropping and dropping. It's Kill Bill series for a while. I remember the computer game shop that I get second-hand computer games from. They literally almost had a wall of Kill Bill because people were just trading them in, because Part 1 and Part 2 are really bad. They're not a good film at all. Part 1 has some spectacular stuff. The big thing where she's jumping around with a samurai sword, that was quite impressive. The gore was totally ridiculous. The blood was the wrong colour. But the plot was so... and number 2 was even worse. I thought, why are you making this thing that is literally urinating on the history of B-movies, particularly kung fu movies? Why? Why don't you just make something original, you prick? And then I watched Death Proof, that just made me realise that Tarantino is all smoke and mirrors. Death Proof is dreadful. I can't understand how you can take a brilliant actor like Kurt Russell and make him into such a boring shit. It's not good. The car chases are all over the place. The action that there is so small. It's like I think Kill Bill is literally the Walls of Scylla, it's called. It's one of the Dark Tower novels, which was build, 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 tiny little payoff. And that's what Death Proof was. It was so boring. And these women that were supposed to be sexy, but weren't. They were really. The other film that went along with it, Planet Terror, that was entertaining. That's Robert Rodriguez, and he's very good at doing ridiculous over-the-top action. I'm a big fan of Mariachi and the follow-up movies, particularly Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I just absolutely loved because it was so ridiculously over the top. Even Johnny Depp was cool in it. When he loses his eyes, he's still cool. And it's I don't understand what's happened to Tarantino. I think he is very much in that school of directors who make one really great movie and then make a quite good follow-up and then completely dash to pieces. Just like Michael Cimino did with, he made Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, which was a good movie, mainly because the actors involved were so brilliant. And he made Deer Hunter, which I know it's slow and it's boring, but I actually find it quite a touching movie about the damage that war does to people, turning them into something they weren't originally, or opening in their mind something that shouldn't have really been opened, particularly Christopher Walken's character. And I'm not in the camp who absolutely hates Heaven's Gate. It is a slow movie. It could do with having a lot of fat taken there. Could have done with a much better soundtrack. I think the soundtrack's the thing that really I find quite annoying. All that Eastern European stuff. Just, you know. Should have got Morricone, give it a bit of punch. Have a music sting going through the whole movie. This is a big problem I have with Heaven's Gate. The music's just. But yeah, I think Tarantino is Michael Cimino. He's basically, he has the same sort of mentality in it's my way or the highway, which worked with some directors. My personal favourite, Stanley Kubrick, he was pretty bonkers when it came to things like getting actors to play the same scene about 40 times and then using the second take. He did that with the National Philharmonic when he was doing the soundtrack to 2001. He got them to play the Blue Danube so many times that supposedly people's fingers were bleeding. And then he took the second take. But the thing about Kubrick is everything he made you could see was a Kubrick film. Tarantino doesn't have that. He can make style and he can make humour, but his films don't look like they're in the same universe at all. Everything that Kubrick did had this slightly cold, clinical view on character. Even villains, Jack Torrance being probably one of the greatest characters ever put on film, in that you see his slow slide into insanity, that little things that he could possibly have dealt with being in a public place were just magnified and magnified and magnified until he becomes a psychotic killer. The Shining's clever because lots of people don't get it on the first time they watch it. You have to watch The Shining. Well, I've watched it probably over 50 times. The main thing that most people miss is the cupboard that Jack is put in by his wife after he's tried to kill her. She's hit him with a baseball bat. That lock undoes on its own is impossible. The door is opened by the ghosts. The place is haunted. The only reason why no one sees the ghosts are you have to reach a level of insanity to see the ghosts. And the hint is at the end with a photo is Jack has joined them. He's a ghost with them now. Most people didn't get that. They thought, oh, what's the picture of him doing there if it's supposed to be sort of 50 years before he got there? It's symbolism. It's basically saying that Jack's now one of the ghosts because he's died on the site. And Kubrick could do these amazing images. Some of his films pretty boring. Barry Lyndon I've tried to watch and enjoy lots of times, but I can't. Cinematography's amazing. They used a special type of film that they got from NASA so they could use real lighting. So they're using candlelight to light a whole set, and it looks fantastic. It's literally like a photograph of that period in time. It's not like any other film, because modern movies like Pirates of the Caribbean, they're all walking around on a ship and you can see everything. But people at that time wouldn't use candles on a ship. The under part of a ship was dark and dingy. That's why most people stayed on deck. They only went under down there during the evening because they had to sleep somewhere. Most people don't like being in dark and dingy places for long periods of time. But yeah, and other films he did like Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange is possibly the most beautifully violent film from that point all the way through the 80s. Nothing came near to it, all the way to like I think it was 90s or 2000 time when you got American Psycho. American Psycho is very good at making beautiful violence and comically beautiful violence. The big gang fight in Clockwork Orange, I don't know whether Christian Bale was mimicking it, but there's a heck of a lot of attitude he has, like Alex's character, in the way he offs that annoying banker when he's talking about Huey Lewis and the news. And he puts the plastic stuff on and he gets the big fire axe out and he's just yeah, it's a fantastically gory movie, American Psycho, and it's disturbingly violent as well. The concept is beautiful because the concept is if you have everything becomes boring, so you have to do something to make you feel like you're existing. Some people would make things like great artworks and paintings and statues, but because his character is so cold and he looks at himself in a mirror but doesn't actually see anything looking back, he kills people. He's an artistic murderer. He's very much like the template, amazingly, for the villain in one of the Batman movies he did. The Joker is exactly the same. He kills because he doesn't feel like he's complete. He needs to make art as he sees it, which usually means people are going to die. But yeah. Anyway, I'm getting massively off subject. Noodles, you want good noodles? The oolongmen or oolongmen. Yeah. So yes, I strongly recommend these to anyone who likes noodles or anyone who likes Asian food. Easy to prepare, very, very tasty.